I mean, we've done things that have scared
The shit out of us.
the shit out of us, honestly. The moments that are the scariest are definitely the memories that we'll never forget.
I equate an adventure with a challenge. I think it's satisfying because you're doing something that previously you couldn't or you wouldn't do. How do you set off on buying into the ethos of other people? That's what I live for.
For Shea and I, adventure has been our calling. From kayaking to rock climbing to exploring caves in Mexico, we hit the road at a moment's notice. So when we had the chance to join a cross-country motorcycle ride, we jumped at it, even though we had no idea what we were doing.
So 2 weeks leading up to the start of the journey, we rented a motorcycle for a day, which was the first time that Madison and I actually sat on a motorcycle together. It's good.
It's good.
First time doing it.
It's a different view.
Great experience.
Clenching onto you tight.
I know. The bike's really smooth though, either way. In a sense, you're on a motorcycle, you go fast, but it has a tendency to slow things down.
And this is pretty much your first long distance ride. I pray that you have the best time of your life because this is where the needle goes in your arm. Let's ride! Yeah!
We never dreamed we'd be riding across the country from Fort Lauderdale, Florida to Milwaukee, Wisconsin. An unorganized ride with a bunch of Harley enthusiasts. As we were putting on our helmets, I looked around and I felt that we definitely did not belong here. All I see are rugged, seasoned riders ready to make this 1,600-mile pilgrimage to the home of motorcycling.
It feels pretty intimidating. What if we mess up or have to take a break? Will we even make it to Milwaukee? My idea of an adventure is definitely not spending several hours on the back of a motorcycle.
That was the third time I ever sat on a motorcycle.
I knew that Shea was nervous to have me on the back, so I was trying so hard to not act nervous. Something that we will never, honestly, never forget.
Once we're on the road, nothing else really matters.
It's a little scary,
Yeah.
but it's a little thrilling.
You don't trust my riding? Look, here's the truth. We don't own a motorcycle. So for this trip, we had to rent one. It was never an option to not do it.
So we just got finished with day one.
Just to kind of see all the faces and the people and the energy that is going into this anniversary rides home, I thought was something that we've never had insight to.
And the first time riding out with a group of bikers like that.
Yeah.
We've never done anything like that. So
Yeah.
a little nerve-wracking.
A little nerve-wracking, but riding in a flying V will make you seem or feel way cooler than you actually are.
Adventure for Shea and I usually is going off just by ourselves, exploring. This whole experience was just a different twist.
Riding's great, but jumping into an ice-cold natural spring sounds pretty damn good right about now.
Yeah, it was a different kind of thrill. Part of what unites us are these moments. Just me and Shea exploring the world.
Being able to unplug for several hours definitely felt good.
Definitely more in line with something Shea and I would do.
Motorcycles are never really part of our upbringing. So coming into this day one, I think the anxiety was just way higher.
Yeah, we've done road trips before, but there's still some things that Shea and I are both a little nervous about. We have to feel these movements together, and we have to turn together, and we're doing all these things just as one. And
I give a lot of kudos to Madison because I think it requires a lot of trust. I think every day we've been the last riders to show up, but we're getting there.
so there's two sides. There's the fear of doing it, and then there's the fear of not doing it.
I think the clearest takeaway is that some of the best things, either on this trip or in life, kind of sit on the other side of that fear. I was thinking we're about to peel out onto a highway where I think the speed limit was 60, 65.
I was very nervous we were gonna stall.
You can't do 65 sitting in second gear. So we rode out. I felt like we'd actually earned the right to be in that ride.
Before we started this, we kind of felt almost like posers, or we were these outsiders coming into this very already tight-knit community. Here we are, these young kids who are just learning to ride, probably, not parking the bike right. We don't know the hand signals, we don't know anything, and
As soon as we started talking to other people that were participating in the ride up to Milwaukee, I think that broke the barrier.
they could not have been kinder. I think it brought back memories probably from when they first started.
I'm Anita Schultetti, and this is Bob, and we've been married for 64 years.
Yeah, we got a cute little story about how we met. These two young fellas had met her that lived next door. They said, Bob, you gotta meet this gal over here next door, you know, and this was when she was a teenager and I was too, you know. So I said, well, how would you like to go for a little ride?
Yeah.
So she called her mother, who was also a rider,
Okay.
and said, would it be okay if I take a little ride with this guy, you know? Yeah. So we took a little ride around, and that was the start of a wonderful thing. It's 64 years this year that we've been married, and we've done it with Harley-Davidson all those years.
Oh, wow.
We would never have some conversations that we've had on this trip if we weren't riding a motorcycle. Or,
Even when you stop at a gas stop,
Yeah.
oh, we talked about that earlier today.
sometimes you have a hard time getting away because people wanna,
Exactly.
they want you to relate what you're experiencing.
How often do you have a conversation where you can jump to something that meaningful?
Right.
You know that feeling that you had when you first left Fort Lauderdale with a big group?
Oh, yeah.
That never goes away. From now on, when you pull away, you'll just feel that same feeling year after year after year, and as long as you enjoy motorcycling. And of course, with a start like this, how could you help but continue?
Looking back on this experience, just starting this journey period was scary.
You set off on a motorcycle that's supposed to be kind of like this empowering thing, but then if you lack the experience or if you lack the skill set, that's a very humbling thing to realize and to kind of grow into. As you slowly start to build up those skills,
You start to build a little more confidence And then you start challenging yourself a little more each day as well. Starting on back roads and then moving on to the highway. And
it's still equally as humbling because now you're fully understanding like the nature of what you're doing.
we keep challenging ourselves throughout this journey, and it's been a good growing experience.
At first, all I could think about was the next place to stop. Now, it's just when can we ride again?
I think that was the first time that I actually got it, that I understood what this high was that they were all talking about.
I'll see a guy riding on a Harley, and I'm like, man, I get it. Like, I get why you're so into that.
About the time that we actually really were just enjoying the ride, it was almost over. It's day 6. Gone are my nerves and apprehension. 15 miles left of the 1,600-mile journey.
As we're getting some final instructions from the ride leader, all I kept thinking was, the Shea from 5 days ago wouldn't dare to ride in a 100-rider convoy. But today, I'm ready.
You don't have to earn badges to be a part of this culture. I mean, you walk up there, and if you're into the bikes, they just welcome you. The most impactful moment of this trip was being on that bike, looking through the side view mirrors, and seeing all those riders flanking us, supporting us on this journey.
When you slow it down, when you look at this story one frame at a time, you realize the fear we had at the start makes the end that much more satisfying. And it's an adventure we'll never forget.